Awesome. Hey guys, it's Joe Wright and Henry the dog for D-Vlog for Devolution Magazine, and we're super excited to with Johannes from Avatar, possibly one of the biggest, not far, being one of the biggest bands in the world regarding what you do. Would you say, or indeed, what
Well,
is it that
maybe
you
because
describe the
well,
indescribable?
maybe because I'm not so sure that there are other bands who do it quite the way we do it. So, if you start your own league, you can easily be the number one in it, which I think is a good thing. But I don't know. Back in the day, within 3 years, we had toured with both Obituary and Halloween, and both kind of worked and didn't work, but then actually worked. And I don't think many bands who could do both. So maybe that says something about where we are at. So yeah, we're certainly the best Scandinavian metal band called Avatar that is currently out there.
It was a backhanded compliment, really, wasn't it? You're the best at what you do, but actually, you don't.
No, 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 absolutely not. But I also think to that the fact that it is a thing on its own that I mean, it's obviously a metal band,
Yeah, yeah,
uh, but beyond that, how people from time to time when they want to categorize us, or if whenever we want to categorize ourselves, it gets tricky.
you can't do it.
Um, no, I mean you can pick it apart that to say that yeah, when we started playing and we basically learned to play together, there was a lot of death metal, was a lot of melodic death metal, there was a lot of technical death metal, there was a lot of Cryptopsy, Meshuggah, there was At the Gates, The Haunted more than anything. There was In Flames, but there was also some Iron Maiden, some Halloween, Slayer. So the roots, a lot of it pretty extreme, but then starting to really kind of rekindle our relationship to more classic heavy metal probably, and rock and roll, and then everything, garage rock and all kinds of things start to blend in there, industrial metal
Yeah.
and everything really. And because also we don't worry too much about what's the Avatar sound. Of being a Beatles fan, and seeing how much they changed and evolved in just 8 years of releasing albums. And all the albums, all their music sounds like the Beatles. And the secret is, well, if you wrote it yourself, don't bring in outside songwriters, and
Yeah.
you record it yourself, you are your own studio musician. That's the sound. Because
Yeah.
you put whatever, no matter how much we may or may not improve, we're not at all talented enough to sound like not ourselves. So like that, we don't really worry about any kind of purity. The purity comes in the process of who made it how, rather than some kind of idea about some purity about what the content needs to be
You're in
us.
constant evolution as well, aren't you? Constantly moving, discovering different things, discovering different sounds. Tell me about
Yeah.
Don't Go to the Forest.
Don't go in the forest. Well, it's yet another album, and suddenly we've done quite a few.
Number 10.
Uh,
Figures.
Number 10. And what comes with that is the, a question. Why is it important to make this for us? Beyond that, okay, over the years, this actually, we got away with making this our jobs. Incredible. Uh, but to say I need to buy dog food and we need to print a new t-shirt, not enough of motivation to make new music. So why is it important to us? And part of it is purely musical, finding new challenges, writing the songs we have never heard, and make sure that it reflects where we are at right now as people. An album that we couldn't possibly have made in 10 years, 10 years ago, and wouldn't possibly be able to make in another 10 years or even 1 year. That is the here and now with what's on our mind. And it's an album where a very good chunk of it, uh, the writing, especially when it comes to the lyrics, was putting more trust into the subconscious,
Yeah.
not being in a rush to figure out what everything means right at the beginning of the song.
Okay.
I think growing up, having read all those band interviews and they had all these things to say about what the songs were about, I think made me think when I was really young that you needed to know all of that before you struck the first chord. And then I've been unlearning that over the years, of course, but now I really leaned into letting subconscious guide the song, not needing to know what it means immediately, or just following some kind of sense of beauty in trusting that sense more than anything, and trusting that that means that means that it means something in
Okay.
terms of the subconsciousness.
So there's some fairly deep, so you let your subconscious write, but there's some fairly deep themes running through. For example, death and glitz in a
Mhm.
society focus or that takes fascination or pleasure in violence against women. Are you happy to go into that a little more?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that one actually is one of the from the half of the album that maybe was more concrete, where it actually was the thing. This is
Okay.
on my mind and it's bothering me, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, that was more in front of things. But yeah, absolutely. It's not just that it's about, yeah, violence against women, obviously a bad thing, but this specifically was picking apart, I get fascinated by how disturbed and uneasy I felt around the whole true crime genre
Yeah. Okay.
when starting to just the extreme popularity of it, opening some kind of, streaming service and just
Yeah.
how many things are that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you combine what stories are being told and why is the dead person always a young, attractive woman? I mean, it's rarely a sad, lonely old bloke somewhere in his 70s. That tragedy doesn't really tickle our fancy the same way. So we, as sung in the song, that people just like death and tits, basically. And I start to, and then I feel then it's not about learning because sure you can have a deep going article about it. You can have studies about it. Of course, there's news value to those things in and out of itself to a degree, but now it gets morphed to, there's an assembly line for how it's supposed to be made, and it's grotesque, but it's not grotesque like grotesque things in, for instance, art in metal. There's a layer of many times fiction or just, that you pick it apart and focus on the emotion of things or whatever. But here it's more sensationalist. It's zooming in on the tears of the parents who are still alive and mourning today. And I don't see really the healing factor. So what's going on there? And then I start to think, first I think from a male perspective, because I'm sitting there being a dude watching this. And like, okay, so what is this dead woman then to this, to the man watching? Well, she could be anything because she's dead, so you can project anything on her. So that deletes the whole complex and issue with the whore and the Madonna in a woman. Maybe some hero fantasies around what if you would save her? There are all these weird things going on. And then I think a step further, and at least in my life and from what I see, when the topic comes up about this is like, wait a minute, this is way more popular among women than among men, at least in my life. But I dare say, without having looked into it, uh, that is true overall. But when I've been sitting at dinners or, in bars or whatever, living rooms and conversation, and the one who says, "Ooh, I just love true crime," will be um, a female friend.
Yeah.
So then what do they put into it? And I heard different kind of justifications for it. Um, but about because, and I'm sure some of it's true about confronting your own fears and everything. Because even though, from what I know, statistically, when on a Saturday night in town, when it comes to be assaulted, guys are in more immediate dangers than girls because they get drunker, they say more stupid shit, and they want to fight each other, and uh, so but still the fear and a very real and justified fear, and then fear within relationships and all that. Women, of course, carry more of that, and for good reasons. I'm not denying that. Uh, but I don't see anything educational in this. So it's still something. is a perverse way to deal with the fear. So from there comes the song. So the music, Tim did pretty much all of it, and then it becomes this marriage of that I hear a song that, oh, this has a nice disco pump to it,
Oh,
but
right.
all these images of dead attractive people comes to my head, and also the realization that that's another thing, and that I've been guilty of in the or guilty, I stand behind those songs, but the motif, the age-old motif of the dead girl in the grass, from your cop series to your goth novels and everything, it's everywhere, the dead hot people.
Yeah.
So I kind of also confront myself because that's bloody angel.
Yes.
So like think about what is the female presence in my songs? And I've been kind of countering it through the years, try to, do different things with that
Yeah.
as well. But this confronts the parts that I then in part question or have outgrown alongside doing relationship songs from a perspective of, putting people on pedestals. Uh, so the song, and then it's a fun heavy metal song. So then you have fun with that topic. And that's why, it's fun to sing, uh, you know, death and tits and and go
Well,
there with it.
yours, Johannes, isn't there, really?
Come again?
A lot going on in that head of yours, isn't there, really? Thank goodness you make music to let it all out.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
What
Yeah,
about,
I don't know. I yeah, I think about things. It's also a privilege of this job that so much of your clocked in time when you do something artistic is that you get to walk around
Hmm,
and think about yourself a lot
yeah. Imagine if you were an
and
accountant.
find it productive.
What if you're an accountant and I don't think you could do it. I think you might go mad. If all you did was spreadsheets all day and you couldn't get your thoughts out of your head.
Yeah,
Let's move on. We don't want to talk.
well, if I get really good at it, I could have thought about other things at the same time, I guess. And I would have a very intense schedule of hobbies to fill out this.
And you're
Um,
finished with the spreadsheet.
so yeah, no, no, I mean, this certainly suits me. But then on the other hand, before doing this full time, my day
Yeah.
jobs was always like substituting in schools and kindergartens,
Then, like as a
work
teacher.
camps, like summer camps, and yeah, but no degree, just some raw natural talent.
Oh, you were so
And then
good at
go ahead, sorry.
you were so good at that.
Well, I also discovered with having different kinds of jobs that all jobs are exactly the same at the end of the day. So I know in the beginning, and I was like 19 straight, because that the whole point was to have jobs you could leave whenever. So
Yeah.
substitute is to simply not be available. So that was the start of it. And then coming from a family of teachers and a lot of kids around, so having learned by taught through immersion, really. Uh, but I know first time you go into a class of ninth graders
Yeah.
and you kind of take a deep breath, it's basically a gig. You're gonna be fine. And but then also stood before going out on big shows, take a deep breath and thinking, well, it's basically a classroom. It's gonna be fine. There's
You
a
get
lot of
nervous. Do
overlap.
you get nervous before you play live?
Only when we opened for Iron Maiden for the first time in Brazil. That
Okay.
was such a
Understandable now.
we regressed to 15-year-olds. So
Did you fangirl, you
that
mean?
was yeah, but deeper than that is so many feelings, just things coming full circle really
Okay,
about,
yeah, understand that.
the
And you
dreams
also
that start with a band like that and everything. Go ahead.
you're opening for Metallica in summer,
Yeah.
right? Maybe you're gonna get the same feelings.
Yeah. I mean, yes. I think now we got to practice to handle the emotions of doing that because we've been with heroes of ours before, but there's something just the magnitude of when certain bands are so many other people's heroes as well that
Yeah.
adds to it. And I think and then it's we're all Iron Maiden Metallica fan, but then you have one guy in the band with Eddie tattooed on his rib cage. And
Okay,
then you
yeah.
have one guy in the band that got his Tama drum kit because that is what Lars played,
Yeah, okay.
and who wanted to start a metal band and started a metal band to begin with because got into Metallica. So without Metallica, no Avatar, because that is how John's journey in metal simply began.
Yeah.
Um, so So I might be able to handle it differently, but it's also, of course, it's huge. And it's huge. And as such, also in relationship to our band, not just that it's huge in the world, it becomes huge.
Absolutely. I'm going to just, I should have talked to you more about Don't Go in the Forest on your tour, but I want to go back to Hunter Gatherer. About once a month, it lives in my head that you got Corey Taylor to do a guest slot on A Secret Door and you made him whistle.
Yeah.
I still laugh about that. Is that something you still stand by? You just made him whistle.
Yeah, of course, but he did some shouting on Colossus as well because, he was there, so why not? But yes, it's two of my greatest role models when it comes to be creative and especially to keep your thing going for years and years and letting it evolve as you age and change and sensibilities change. Matt Stone and Trey Parker.
Mm,
I'm a huge
that's
South
fun.
Park fan. We all are. And I really, then found all the podcasts and interviews and everything, like really ending up being what we do is obviously not a crude cartoon, but still there's a lot of overlap in the creative process.
Yeah, yeah,
And the reason I mentioned them is that they did have Jay Leno was Cartman's cat. I think Jerry Seinfeld was Turkey number four or Turkey number two in a
yeah,
Thanksgiving special. That is just that's just funny.
yeah, yeah,
And that's just it kind of plays on to have features, of course, that it adds interest and curiosity. So it's a bit, to do a punk rock attitude to that in a way that it just seemed, yeah, Corey Taylor's on it. We're telling you, we're not lying. Here's the footage. And then it was just a fun exchange also because he got it immediately. He understood why, of course, why it's funny and great, and no one has him to do that. But then what also happened, then he stands in front of the microphone and he becomes very serious, and you start doing multiple takes to get the right whistle. That is still, it's still music, He still did a good job whistling.
whistle. Yeah, not gonna lie, I
Mhm.
can't whistle anymore. Because I had my teeth straightened. Random fact. You're out on Halloween. 31st is when Don't Go in the Forest is released. Is that
Mhm.
must be on purpose?
Well, once the opportunity arose, it certainly was on purpose, but it's also Um, there's a whole lot of, moving parts leading up to that and just finish writing those songs, book the studio. Is it available then? Okay, good.
Okay, yeah,
And it finishes. How's the mixing going? And once you have the mess, that there's a series of deadlines need to meet that creates a window.
yeah,
And due to just when people are on vacation and not, and what people do different parts of the year, there are periods of the year that are more suitable for releases than before. Back in the day of physical sales,
yeah,
no medium to small size artist could release music too close to Christmas
yeah,
because everyone was going to buy the Paul McCartney compilation and Mariah Carey CD.
yeah, yeah,
So there wasn't no room for us back then.
yeah,
And part of those things still live and just to have space in social media or in people's lives. So you have a window, and one of the dates within that window was October 31st.
yeah. Go
And
for
that's
it.
perfect.
Absolutely. Have you had you've released four singles now, is it? How's the reaction been so far?
One, two, three. Yes, four singles.
How's the reaction been?
Sorry?
I was going to say how's the reaction been, but I can actually tell you because I've been looking
No, but
online
it's been
really well.
it's been good, It's been good. And of course, I think it's important for us to, even though we're Avatar and we've done it like that for forever, but to show people. I mean, there was a strategy to it. And starting with Captain Goat, it's like, okay, just so you know, everything is different once again.
Yeah,
So you start there, and then you kind of with the first three, especially, I think was about triangulating every, because to show what an entire album is about by playing a few songs is tricky, especially for us. But you hear something slow and heavy and doomy and epic and a choir is there. Have you heard us do that before? Not quite like this.
yeah,
So,
not quite like this. That's
but
a
then
very good
no,
point. Yeah,
and then this about the second one. Hey, heard you liked speedy aggressive metal, so do we. And here's the fastest song we recorded since before 2010, probably. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it must be. So so you know already there you kind of create a spectrum of where the rest fits in. And then of course, you know, that line up to place things on becomes a triangle with warriors. And now with Death and Glitz, yeah, you know, we had to keep the momentum going.
yeah,
And I think it's yet all these four songs have been incredibly different from one another, you know, by design. But that's we never want to write the same song twice, you know, that's a
that's not
huge part
Avatar.
of our mission statement.
Absolutely. And I think I was reading a bit, it's every memory, fantasy, forbidden thought that you've had finally spoken across the album, your deepest, darkest thoughts.
Yeah, and it connects to that the intuitive writing style. I think every art project that a person does, and in our case, you know, making the albums, writing songs, it's an opportunity to peel off another layer of bullshit off of yourself. And I mean, I was completely truthful on our debut as well, but you know, you grow, you
You
change,
go.
you
Yeah,
mature, and you also find ways of maybe going a bit deeper with things and, you know, finding maybe when you're younger, you want to be powerful by sounding powerful.
yeah,
Um, there was certainly vulnerability there immediately as well, but still, you know, there's a wish to be strong when you're young, and uh, and now more of the strength is found through vulnerability, maybe in a way that I wouldn't have pulled off before. So so that's part that's a way to explain, you know, what the deepest, darkest things is, and that the unfilteredness of less remaining longer in the abstract phase of the ideas, and
yeah,
then just let it come together as it sees fit.
absolutely. And where does the title "Don't Go in the Forest" come from? What is the thinking behind that? 'Cause obviously, it's a
Well,
track on the album as well.
yeah, you know, so it's every other album basically starts with a big plan or has a big plan early on. That Avatar Country was like that, Dance Devil
Mhm.
Dance was like that, and in between, we need to explore more and see what it becomes.
Okay.
But what that also means is that you sit and we were recording vocals here in Helsinki, and on the last day, or one of the last days, is like that. When I'm pretty much done, is where you go, God damn it, we need a fucking title. Uh, so what did we do? And you start, and it doesn't have to be a song title, but it's certainly that's one way of doing it. So we start looking there, and I feel like Don't Go in the Forest really start to work aside from, you know, the themes of the songs. It kind of encompasses the whole thing of, I mean, what part of it is metal overall that, yeah, don't go in the forest. There's a certain type of kid that, you know, grows up liking metal, maybe they dyed their hair blue and is attracted to the idea of of, oh, I'm totally going into the forest. You know, there's a taboo breaking aspect of heavy music, the dark stuff,
Yeah.
uh, that I think is healthy. And and the excitement for that forbidden idea, or just curiosity and exploration. There's also just the idea of what's in the forest, and you know, an album covers me, and I have this vision of someone being lost in the woods,
Yeah.
cold and afraid, and in the trees. So, of course, they walk towards it, start hearing music, and then they reach a meadow. And in that meadow is a circus tent that shouldn't be there, but it is. Music comes out of it, and that's Avatar. Um, there's that movie playing that aesthetically I feel like summarizes what we are doing and the strange duality of metal. Because yeah, metal can be very dark and aggressive, but it's also, you know, exciting, uplifting. It's a lot of things, and it's a good time. People go to metal shows having a great time, but we stand there going back to Metallica, and you go Metallica, woo! And with a plastic cup of beer, and you know all your friends, and you wear a denim vest, and they play a song. They play one, so that's a guy with no arms and no legs stuck in a bed who wants to die, and that's a bit weird.
Yeah.
That's not how salsa lyrics work. And the uplifting side of metal, the excitement, that's not the novel about that kind of tragedy. And we kind of do both, you know? We are dark, depressing novels set to salsa music in a way. Uh,
Well, I love you
And
because you say things like this.
so, and that marriage of it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's a lot of what metal ends up being
yeah.
moves between those worlds somehow.
I wondered if "Don't Go in the Forest" was like a metaphor for "Dear God, don't go into my mind because this is all going to come out."
Exactly, because that's another side of it, and it's the idea of now I'm yet to go to therapy myself, and if so, I doubt that the thing I need to deal with is childhood trauma. That being said, that's one of those things, right? If that you see, that dark, forbidden thing you pushed away in your life that hinders your quality of life as you grow up, and then you go and through therapy, you need the first thing you need to do in order to deal with it and develop the tools is to open that forbidden door
Yeah.
and looks what's behind it and work it out. And through there, you can grow and process and move on. And I mean, it's absolutely evident in myself and in many others that we use music and art for that therapeutic purpose. That it's a lot of the stories when people have particularly nice things to say to me about what we do. It's a lot of things like that
Yeah.
that I'm quick to give credit to the person who actually put in the work and give credit to music in itself rather than us in particular in music because you know, boy bands have done that as much as metal bands in many cases, I believe.
Point, yeah.
So it's just the power that in the nature of the art form and what people bring of themselves into the art form. Then certain things are destined to resonate more with certain people than others.
What about? I'm going to probably ask you one more question and then let you go because I know time's cracking on. If you tell me not to do something, I'll probably do it. So I would tootle off into the forest quite happily. But if
Hmm.
you went into this forest, what would scare you? What would be the scariest thing that you could find in there? I can tell you what the scariest thing I could find in there, and that would be that would be me because and I annoy myself so bloody much, and I'd be like, "Fuck, this woman's psychotic," and I would frighten myself. So with that in mind, what would really scare you?
Hmm.
What would scare you, Henry? Lack of bones, I should think. Although,
In the forest.
have you maybe
Well,
have you maybe tackled everything actually in your music? Have you got it
no,
all?
absolutely, absolutely not. But what comes to my mind is a bit at face value sillier, but I now started to see aliens from outer space. And I understand that that is not where your question was going,
It's
but I
not a problem.
also, I don't
It's
know,
still okay.
I saw a strange light once. That's all I saw, and it lasted for a second. So no, I don't say I saw a spaceship or saw anything, but I
Yeah,
saw a light in the sky that, due to size, distance, timing, movement, that was so brief, and stood next to John, who saw it at the exact same time.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
we were two seeing it. That bothers the hell out of me
Yeah,
because
okay, yeah,
we can't say what it actually was,
yeah.
and that triggers that old X-Files question. Like I would just like to know, but that is not where you were going with it. But the fears of I don't know, probably. I mean, I have a certain fear of failure.
Okay.
So, I mean, so the consequences of failure in terms of having failed other people, um, there, and I think that's also, the consequence of this very self-involved profession, which means lots of time away and everything, and the trip you're on, and to make that trip work with all the other trips you have around you in your life. There's certain so but how that would embody itself in this metaphorical forest, I'm not sure.
Just one more thing. When you come over to the UK, you've got alien weaponry supporting you.
Hmm.
Is that
Love
about?
them.
I know. Is that one of your decisions? You wanted them on board?
Yeah, I mean, we always have the final say, no matter where the suggestion comes from, because people, you know, uh, once you book a tour, your booking agents and send smoke signals, and other booking agents start submitting, and there's a whole you try to make a long list of suggestions, but Alien Weaponry, since we heard them the first time, they've been on the top of the list. Since we got to interact with members, they were on top of that list. Since it almost happened in the past, but they had another offer, and I think it was Gojira they went out with, and we're like, okay, that's cool, we
Fair
get
enough.
it.
Yeah.
Talk to you
Oh, you
later.
there, fellas? Yep.
S-
Jog in. Crack on.
stayed in touch, and it's so yeah. This one was very much from us in the band, and
Awesome.
then I'm not I we because then the opening slot will be two different bands, but I think it's Witch Club Satan also in UK.
Yes,
I
I think it is.
think
Yeah, I
love
can
them as
check that.
well. So I think between those two bands, that's worth the price of admission alone. And
I know,
then I'm
right?
there too. Uh, and Witch Club Satan number one. That's my within black metal, that kind of raw style, that's my jam. And then
Yeah.
what they do with it, and especially I mean I remember me and my our not mine because I don't play guitar stage, but our guitar tech, we were talking about that discovering the new underground black metal band every time is then you, oh, this sounds cool, and I'm gonna go online and check them out. Okay, they're from there, and they're Nazis. Yeah, it's a reoccurring problem with new black metal bands.
That's
Which Club Satan is the exact opposite with their politics and the values that they bring to the table. That I mean, again, the music that they do, the songs themselves is worth the price of admission alone. But then because of what they use with to the music for in terms of message and the values conveyed, that dark spiritualism connected with the feminism and everything like that, that is that they become very, very important in black
yeah,
metal.
yeah, yeah. Awesome.
So yeah, Alien Weaponry and Witch Club Satan, that's a billing. You should go and see them. And oh, we're playing after, so stick around.
Yeah, I would stick around. I genuinely would stick around for you guys also because you're amazing. But equally, the undercard is really pretty bloody strong. Dude, I'm
It's
going to
really
leave it.
good.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Johannes. You're one of our favourites at
Thank you.
Devolution. And I just genuinely wish you all the best. And yeah,
Likewise. Thank you very much for your
hope to
time.
speak to you soon, my love. Take care of yourself.